Welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast with Don and Suzanne Manning. Parents, what if we could give you the power to transform your family into something absolutely amazing?
A family where everyone is healthy, gets along, loves Jesus, and has great purpose in life.
Hey, let us flip your thinking to unlock the power God has given you to create your own Crazy Cool family. Hey, Crazy Cool parents, welcome to the weekly Rethink and welcome to the new year. Actually,
Happy New Year.
well, happy new decade even. We have a new decade, a new year.
That's right, 2020. Isn't it so neat and tidy?
Yes, the
2020.
I wonder if they'll call it the Roaring 20s again. Like, I
Not
wonder
about
if you
that.
repeat that. Does that mean the 30s is the Depression, and we get
Oh, I hope
we
not.
got 10 years before everything's going to cave on
They had
us?
such cute clothes and hairstyles in the 20s.
That's true, and we had like Prohibition and all the things we went with that. Hey, well, you know what? The new year brings in newness to everyone.
Right.
So, Suzanne,
So I think it brings in, to me, it brings in just this energy of, like you said, this energy of newness that comes in. It makes me want to clean out closets and start
here
a
we
new
go.
diet.
Here we go with the New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, and exercise. I'm going to exercise every day in 2020, and
You're probably going to eat gluten free.
yes, and dairy free, and
yes.
salt free, and flavor free, and
Yes, there's so many things that we say we're going to do. And
read a book. Read 10 books.
read lots
20
of
20
books,
books in
yeah,
2020.
yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And then we get to about January 5th and we realize we haven't done many.
We
of
haven't
them.
started
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, we're still eating Christmas food. And but what if, from a family standpoint, what if there
Right.
was one thing that you did, and we're going to call it one thing to change the culture of your home?
And just one thing, don't be like me and add a whole bunch of things and you're going to change all of it. And then I don't succeed in any of it and I don't change any of it. But to me, if I can think, okay, one thing,
Yeah,
that
and-
feels
and-
manageable.
and
I can
not-
do one thing.
And it's not just you. We all do that. We all have, and the good news is there's so much energy that comes in with the new year.
So
And-
let's
and
use it.
Use
Yeah.
the energy, but let's channel the energy. Let's channel the energy in terms of family into this. What is the one thing? And don't pick the one as we talk about it. Don't pick the easy one.
Although if that's all you can do,
Yeah,
Then-
but at least so many. Well, I'm just going to do this.
I'll just
little
make
one.
the bed every day.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a step in the right direction.
That's true. But try to look for the one that would be a game changer. If you're
Don's an
gonna focus on
overachiever.
one,
He wants you to pick the hard thing. Tell him
Yes.
you want him to pick the
I
hard
want
thing.
him to pick the hard thing.
Your
And-
return will be better if you pick the hard thing.
Yeah, but for some people, they don't even know what culture means when we say, there's two words we talk about at Crazy Cool Family a lot. And one of them, obviously, is relationships. And the other one is culture. And what we talk about is, relationships, the strength of your family will be determined by the strength of your relationships. But culture drives relationships. That when you put culture and just like a lot of people that are in the business world understand business culture, and it's one of the reasons we use the term, because culture drives the relationships in your family. So what's the culture like in your home? So often we get parents coming to us and they say to us, oh, I hate the culture in my home because it's so toxic and everybody's griping at each other and nobody talks and all this stuff. And we're like,
And the good news is you can change that
Yeah,
culture in
that's
your home.
awesome.
You have the power to do that.
yeah, so what are we going to do to change the culture? What are you going to be inspired to do to change the culture in your home? The atmosphere, the culture is the way your home, what's the vibe of your home? And guess what, parents, you do? You have so much influence over the culture in your home. But it takes time and it takes one thing at a time. You can't do it all, or else you do like the New Year's resolutions. You get overwhelmed and you say, oh, I can't do that. I'm a failure, all that stuff. No. What can we do? What's the one thing that God puts in your heart? And you know what? It's a great thing too, as you think about it and pray about it. what is something you might even talk about it with your spouse and say, what is the one thing we are going to do? Well, and it's a great opportunity to get with your spouse and pray about it. And you'll be amazed many times you'll come up with the same thing,
So in our book, section 3 of our book, the last part, it talks about culture. And inside culture, we've got some different pillars: encouragement, safety, discipline, unity. If you need some ideas on what is the one thing? I have no idea what this one thing is going to be with my family. And so if you think about encouragement, maybe your one thing is to encourage. Every day you're going to say one thing encouraging to every member in your family.
Yeah.
And what would something encouraging be? What would that?
Well, just noticing where they are coming in, saying, hey, even just the statement of, I'm so glad that you're in our family. I'm so glad God put you there. That's an encouraging statement. It's not, oh, you're doing something wrong all the time, but it's, hey, I'm just love it that God put you in our family and that I get to be with you.
Or a super practical one, if you're not already doing it, is I love you. Just infuse that very, very powerful sentence into bedtime, wake up time, get out of the car time, go to school time, just random. I love you. Did you know I love you? I love you. That's the most encouraging statement we can say.
And even saying also, I like you. I like this
Yeah,
about
that's good.
you.
That's
I
good.
want
I
you
like this.
because
Yeah.
so many parents do say I love you, but then they also they're critical of their kids, and just, man, I love the way you're doing this, or I love the way thanks for being this way, or man, you're so kind, or whatever it is. Maybe one of your resolutions could be being a better listener in 2020. I almost said 19. When does that shift? When do we start to really say the right year and write it down right? But so what about being a better listener?
So powerful for our kids when we can listen. I mean, deep down in the core of all of us, don't we just want to be known and understood?
Yeah.
And the best way, the key to that is to listen to the person that wants to be known and understood.
Maybe it's to listen more, lecture less. Maybe, that could be a resolution that you're going to.
It could be your one thing. I'm going to listen more.
It could be your resolution says that I'm going to do my best to ask questions before I lecture. Before I tell them what to do, I'm going to try to make sure I understand before I lecture and tell them what to do.
Oh, that's so good. So your one thing could be, I'm going to choose to understand, or I'm going to ask questions.
And that's a whole lot more powerful than making your bed, for example. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Get to the top one.
The hard one. Do the hard one.
Go for it, parents, and really be inspired, and you can do this.
That's good.
So some examples of things, like, for example, in our podcast with the Shriners.
Right.
You were mentioning that before the podcast.
Yeah, one of the things.
And you have to go back to the podcast to hear the full story that we just did a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we did that one. We did that one over Thanksgiving break, and I know it probably got caught up in the busyness of Thanksgiving. So please go back and listen to it. You will be blessed. They have so many great things to share with you. And one of the things that they changed, and it wasn't even the new year yet, was that they realized that they were doing too much for their kids and that they needed to create opportunities for their children to have independence. And so they created a list of things for them to do in the morning so they didn't have to tell them what to do anymore. And so the kids had to do the list on their own. And so that's their one thing that they did.
And so they talked about it, husband and wife, and then the resolution was, we're going to create more opportunities for independence for our children. Why are we going to do that? Well, because we want them to grow up more independent.
And we're tired of doing their stuff.
Exactly. And we want
That's why, hey guys, the trick to having 7 kids was that I put most of the work on them.
Yes, exactly. And
you do your laundry,
or
you do your lunches,
siblings.
or you do, yeah.
But so what is the resolution is we're going to create more independence. And then there's the methodology was they started to do more stuff in the mornings where they got themselves ready and they did more things. So just listen to the podcast. But, I remember for me, I remember there was, I don't even know if it was at the end of the year or not, but there was an event that our family and Mackenzie, one of our last daughter, was performing at the church. And so I remember she came out of the performance and I said, "Hey, Kenzie, good job. Way to go. Way to go.
Trying to remember that.
Way to go." And then here comes my buddy, and he's an encourager, and he comes out and he right behind me goes, "Oh my goodness, Mackenzie, that was amazing.
That was so incredible. I was so blessed by that. When you said this, I thought this.
Yes, and I'm like looking at him going, "Who are you and how does this work?" But out of it, I felt like a jerk. For one thing, I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm
You
a
were just a
horrible."
lazy encourager, babe. You weren't a
Yes,
jerk.
I was something. But anyway, but I just resolved then. I made a goal at that point that not that I was going to be like him, because it was like, wow, that's over the top. And honestly,
Well, he's words of
it
affirmation.
felt weird to do it, but I'm like, I am going to become more of an encouraging dad. And over time, I don't know if it took months or years or whatever with the resolution, but today, if you were to ask my children who I am, they would say that I'm an encouraging dad,
For sure. You believe in them, you trust them, you see them.
and I say things that are so
Yes.
that was a resolution I made, and it really does involve changing your thinking. That's what we're going for with resolutions. Is you're not just trying harder at something,
Oh, that's
but
good.
changing your thinking. Like right there in that moment, I changed my thinking. I started to believe that I needed to be encouraging, that was going to be a help to my kids. And so I changed the way I thought about being encouraging. And once you do that, it becomes so much easier to change when you actually change. What the Shriners did is they believe in creating independent kids, meaning kids that can do things for themselves, and that builds their confidence. And there's a belief system that came with that. And so then they go, wow, well, now we're motivated by that. We're going to create action steps to make that happen.
Yeah, so the world says New Year's resolutions to do new things in the new world, but we're saying to take it to the next level and change what you're thinking. Change what you're thinking about one thing. I mean, if you want to be an overachiever, I guess you could do more than one thing, but pick one thing that applies to the relationships in your family and change that one thing. Get together with your spouse. You guys pray about it. Take a few days. And if nothing comes up, then focus on one relationship that you might be struggling with, where that one relationship line is broken down. And then the Lord's going to reveal to you, oh, if you will take time with this child, if you will pay attention to this child, if you will love this child in a proactive way. And so maybe love proactive is what comes out of it. And that becomes your one thing for 2020. I'm going to love proactively.
And so then, parents, allow yourself to fail, because that's going to happen. You're going to purpose things. You're going to say, I'm going to be a more encouraging dad. And then you're going to have that opportunity to do it. It's going to feel awkward, and then you're not going to do it. And you're going to go, oh, okay, I'm not that person. That's not going to happen, or whatever. When you try things, realize anytime you try something, you're going to fail. And so you're going to succeed sometimes, but you're also going to fail. And so just purpose it. And realize whatever you do, I would encourage you to really pray about it, because then you've got the resolve that God has spoken to me.
Right.
And this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so when you fail, you go back to that marker. And that's why we love for you to talk about it with your spouse, because then you can maybe, and it might not be the same for you and your spouse. Maybe your spouse comes up with something different, or it might be the same. Who knows? God's like that, in that he's not going to do the same thing. And what he's going to do for Suzanne and I, he's not going to do for you. And what he's going to do for you, he's not going to do for this other family over there, because everybody's different and unique. And so we love for you to pray about it and really hear from the Lord. And the Lord will tell you if it's going to be make the bed or listen or whatever it is.
For sure.
And seriously, we were joking about it, but any of those are good. All of them are good. The key is to hear what God says.
Well, and then along with fail, I think that sometimes we just quit. We just don't follow through anymore. We stop. We get a month or 2 or 3 into it, and then it either didn't become a habit, or we didn't focus on it, or wasn't intentional. And so get yourself an accountability partner, whether it be your spouse, and have them, or a best friend, or Don's in a small group with a bunch of dads. And so he's going to take his one thing to them and say, I'm committing him right now. Right. All you dads out there that are in his small group, you guys need to ask him, what's your one thing, so that we can be held accountable. Or write it on your mirror in your bathroom as a reminder. Oh, that's right. I'm listening. I'm listening.
It's good to write it down.
Or stick it in your Bible. So every time you go to read your Bible, then it's the reminder, oh, that's right. I'm listening. Just because the The enemy is out there. He wants to kill, steal, and destroy. He wants to take our one thing because he knows that our one thing is going to be a relationship revolutionizing thing.
Culture shifting.
Exactly.
Changing.
And then in 1 Corinthians, it says, whatever you do, do it all to the glory of God. And so filter your one thing through that, knowing that it's going to bring glory to God because you're building, you're creating, you're inside those relationships, and that glorifies God.
Yep. And so you got that marker. You've heard from the Lord. You're going to pray about it. You're going to change your way of thinking about it. And whatever God tells you, it'll be interesting to see. We would love for you to send back to us. If you just send it to info@crazycoolfamily.com. You can send it to info@crazycoolfamily.com. I'll repeat that for you so you have it.
Also on our social media, we'll post a one thing post. Please go back in and post what your one thing was and add us at Crazy Cool Family so that we can get some momentum going.
So then you have accountability. We're going to be stalking you and saying, hey, did you do this? Hey, did you make the bed? Did you make the bed today? Did you make the bed today? Not really. We're not really going to do that. But we would love to hear it. And listen, whatever the Lord tells you, whatever it is, it could be something small, could be something big. It could, but sometimes small things make the biggest impact. So just hear from him and talk about it with your spouse and come up with that resolution, that game-changing, culture-shifting thing that you're going to do for 2020. Hey, parents, we have really enjoyed. I hope you have a great new year. We are praying for you that this would be the best year yet for your family.
And we've got so many amazing podcasts lined up for you and some exciting new things coming your way with Crazy Cool Family. So stay connected to us. We're so glad that you're listening.
Yeah, and in this year, would you let us give you a resolution, not the resolution, but a resolution
not the
for
one
you?
thing.
Yeah, exactly. But for us, would you mind just telling somebody about us? And would you mind just going to them and saying, hey, here's what you do. You tell them to, hey, go to our website, crazycoolfamily.com. And we want you to do two things. We want you to connect with us with our email, and we want you to connect to us on social media. If you would
connect with us with your email,
give us your email so we can so you
have
can
your friends give us their email.
Yeah. What did you just say? You're totally confusing me. Have your friends connect with us through email and through social media. Leave me alone.
It was the pronouns that were confusing me.
Oh my goodness. Can't even advertise without being corrected here. Maybe your resolution should be not to correct me in 2020.
I wasn't correcting, I was clarifying.
Yes, obviously, all the time.
I was trying to understand. My, you, our,
hey,
their,
let's wrap this up. Okay. Hey, parents, thanks again for listening, and we hope you do share us with others because we want to help so many families become crazy cool. Go be crazy, parents. crazycoolfamily.com.